All right. Wow, voice crack off the start. That's crazy. I wanted to get into some ship drawing before I actually drew them on this little guy. So I was gonna do some of the ship design on. Just started off on a blank piece of paper. That is the wrong color. Very professional at this. I know exactly what I'm doing. This is great. Again, a little bit late at night. Woke up a bit late. Didn't really have much to do, so decided to do a little bit of drawing. Thought it was a good idea. I think for the sail design, I'm going for more of a Chinese style like that. That's a bad representation of it. Going for more of a Chinese set like this, with the individual segments and whatnot. It's more of like this. Individual segments, areas like that, and the ribbing across the whole, mast. Yeah, a little tired. I don't know what I'm talking about, I swear. Now the mast angle is actually going to be like this. So it's going to be a rough, hard angle, and then there's going to be the actual... I don't know what this is technically called. I'd look it up, but I don't care to know enough. Let's see. Here, there, here, here, and then like that, and like this. Yeah, that looks about right. And then the boat's underneath it, like this. Yep. Boat design, let's go. The idea is the mast can go from like a solid object like this, right, to something that'll bend a bit more. See if I can actually do an accurate representation. That will bend more like that. If I can draw at all. You know what I'm talking about? So it'll bend more like this, so it'll have this open area underneath, right? Because that's where the ship is there. That's where the ship is there. Mast should be something like that. Mast should be something like that. And the wind is coming upwards, because that is how the wind works in this area. I can explain exactly how that is in a later video, but I'm too tired to get into the exact physics of how that particular situation works. So when this swings out, the wind will catch up, which means that this bottom one should probably be a bit more in line with the boat like that. That way when the bar actually swings in and out, there's the ability to pull it all the way in so that you can just float. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. That means it's going to be a bit more. I'm going to do some erasing. A sin, I know. How dare he erase his whole setup. It's terrible. I was going to talk about some things, you know. I got my braces off, which is great. I can actually talk again. I'm no longer a robot. It's a nice feeling. But, I'm actually just thinking through this whole scenario. Because because most boats are actually, they have like a way thinner set, maybe a little bit wider than this, but they have way thinner footprint than what I'm planning on having a really wide footprint. Hold on, let me. So let's say a boat footprint is like this, right? The footprint I'm looking for is going to be something a bit more like this. Let's see. Here we go. And the reason is because I can just get away with this particular type of footprint, because widening it actually increases the float on it, because it's like an air hockey puck. Now, I do think that there are probably some boats like this, but the ability to have less friction because there's going to be air coming up from the bottom. The bigger this is, the more surface area here, the more uplift this gets, which means the less drag it gets while it moves through the stuff. I suppose drag would be on this side, but the less drag it gets while it's moving through because of the sail. Anyway, that's been physics lessons with Vaughn. I know what I'm talking about, I swear. So this kind of design is what I'm looking for, so that it'll balloon out, which means that this upper bar here will be, this upper bar in this point will be locked in line with the mast. Don't know if you guys can see the mast. I'll just make it quite obvious. Yeah, so it'll be in line with the mast. What am I deleting this time? I got no clue. Anyway. Let's see. The design was here. Up. Back. Mast at the angle. I like the mast being at an angle because it makes it so that there's more catch on this end. Let's see. This line here. This line's going to need to, when it is flat, go there. Perfect. And we put 2 more afterwards. Yeah, that looks about right. Yeah, I was gonna talk about stuff, but I don't really have, like this is just going so well for something to talk about, and it's great. I'm trying to get the shape of this down so that I can do small little like squiggles and whatnot here, right? So the idea is that I can do small smudges and whatnot there. So I could take this little guy and do like a you know, like that, except maybe a bit lighter. So I could like just kind of brush along where the sail would go, and then brush along where the rest of the boat goes, and let's say it goes along this way. then I can go through with my little white pencil here, and then I could actually, describe it like this, So that's it's the general set. And that makes it look a lot nicer when on the thing. But I have to know what the actual framework's going to look like before I can do that. Or else it's going to look like crap because I don't actually have a standardized design when I go across them. So it's going to look different every time, and that's not an acceptable thing. What do you mean it's not acceptable? People do that all the time. It's not acceptable for me. I don't like it because I like to know how my things work because then I can describe them in my game. I like this song. This is nice. So the idea is actually it's going to be a 2-sail design, which is why it's wider in this area. Well, that's one of the reasons. The other reason is it works better for surface area. But if it's wider in this area, I can actually have 2 masts going out like this. More of a, I can draw, I swear, more of an angle. The sails going like this. I can draw, I swear. And the sails going like this. Connection between there. And out and out. Goes like that. That. It actually would go like this. This. There. Connection between them. Kinda like that set. And then maybe some smaller ones here to catch a little bit, but that's not quite. I suppose it depends on how long the ship is. So, depending on how long it is. This is the general idea. You can then take some ropes. Attach, 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 attach. It's going to need one more attachment point, so there might be like 2 spots that attaches here. And then it won't like shake everywhere. And then you just got to control this bottom swing so that it when it furls out, it'll actually just push forward because this will catch wind. But I'm just being super specific about exactly how I want to do this. Overly specific? Quite possibly. Anyway, that's my general design there. The other one is that there can be a smaller version because of how this is set up, which is more like an air surfer, which only needs the one thing here, and then you can have a person standing here controlling it, so it's way closer to a sailboat, just like a single person, dual person sailboat. Except that you can have it way smaller and it'd be way closer to like kite surf it. Well, I forgot what was it, windsurfing? Something like that. They just have a little mast right there that they use to go around. I hung out at some point with somebody who did windsurfing. It was on a class trip. It was pretty cool. He was a cool dude. He was just zooming across the water. It was crazy. Let's see. I like this here, and this here. So it'd be like 2 of those. Not sure how this feels like it would need to be a bit longer, but I think that's just my boat senses kicking in for an actual boat. Because this should work. It might be more of a material problem, actually. So it could actually, the boats could go like that. They could literally just like that, and then have sail, 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 and sail. That'd be interesting. Yeah, that totally works, because direction, and then they'd have they still want a steering board. Steering board is just another mast, though. So it'd be this, and last mast out the back. Right? So the last one would go out this way. How'd that look? Just general speak. Let's see. That's there. Yep. One there. Two. Okay. That's close enough. Another one here. I can actually draw properly. I think I want the starting angle higher. Ending there. Yeah, that was a smarter way to draw it. That. There we go. Yeah. And this, you can see the other, still a boat, so it still has the slightly higher edge. It's just way flatter. And then you have the other end here. Goes across like that. You'll see like part of it. Yeah, that's... It's looking about right. This here. It's the last mast. That would be a good bar name. Do. Cool. And then let's thicken these up just a little bit by making them actually, you actually see the back of this. Only the front of right here. Here, because that's in the way. That might be what's messing with my perceptions here. Let's give it a little clean up. Sorry. Let's see. This looks about right. Yeah, this is looking pretty cool. I don't know if anybody likes me doing these little videos here, because I was literally just gonna draw this not on video. But if if y'all enjoy me just working out my, semi-creative process, then just let me know and I'll probably post a little bit more of these. Because there's a few different things that I'm like working on the crafting process of a few different, designs and whatnot. There's less talk about exactly like what I'm doing, a bit less story time on all that, but if people like the creative process, yeah, and then you can take some designs, some strings to tie it all in. I said strings, they're technically lines if we're talking actual nautical terms, but nobody actually seems to give a crap when it comes to that, except for very, very few songs. Let's see, that. And if they're hanging outward, you can actually tie them to each other. Yeah, but that doesn't give you good access to them. That's fair. You make a good point. See, they'll probably just go down then. Down. And one more down to the edge of the boat, just to apply a bit of extra stability. That should make it so that it sits well. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's just a rough sketch. So that means that this design here would be something along the lines of like 4 outer wings. Let's see. Out there, another one here. And the bottom of the boat like that. Then maybe some lighter bit there. Yeah, that looks about right. Just a general smudge mark would be these 4 blobs here, and then the actual body of the boat. Then if we're looking at it from like this perspective here, it would be 2 wings out this way. Another one out this way. Well, it's actually a rounded, because we went with this design there. Let's see. Means I should restart this setup. Let's start with the body of the boat. Okay. And then wing here. Wing here. Wing here. Wing here. These actually don't need the back masts, I'm just realizing, because if you go through and you pull in here, let's use white just so it's a little clearer. If you pull these in and kept these out, so these were pointing this way, and kept these out, then the ship would rotate this direction. So you actually don't need this. Yeah. I like this little Firefly-esque 4-wing approach that we're going for. I get that I'm calling them wings, but that's just because they kind of look like that with the blobs that I'm setting up. Yeah, this looks about right. Yeah. Awesome. So we have a little bit of a ship design piece that we'll use to touch up this little guy here, because we'll be drawing some ships and whatnot in this area. And I just wanted to know what the general look for them would be when I went about with it. Cool. I think that's it. That was pretty fun. But let me know if you liked seeing me work out my problems on the creative process of that. So, yeah,